Today, I want to talk a little bit about unconscious resistance towards the physical sensation, towards the felt sense, but especially towards the resistance, unconscious resistance towards the physical pain and contraction. Because the very first reverse inquiries are inquiry tools, somatic inquiry tools within KI, the Kilobi inquiries that we use to rev up or conjure up the or make the repression feeling and mind program in the body mind conscious. We rev it up with the reverse inquiries. So the very first reverse inquiries that I use to bring up unconscious resistance towards pain and contraction that flare up in my body are as follows. First, I want to feel this pain or contraction here in my body. I want to feel it. Or it can stay, this contraction or pain here in my body, it can stay here. Or I don't have to control, change, heal, or fix it. Or I don't have to resist this pain. That's a good one, right? That it just shows very clearly. I don't have to hold on to this pain or be fixated on this pain or contraction here in my body. I don't have to hold on to this or be fixated on this. That's also an interesting one, right? Or I can let it go. I don't need it. I can just let it go. Or I don't have to believe this pain is not emotional. I know that's a strong one. That was a strong one. Or it's okay if this pain is not emotional. I know that this last one can sound strange, but sometimes there is fear that I can't address. That I can't address it, the contraction or the pain with somatic inquiry. So I'm helpless. So I use that reverse inquiry too to work with certain repressions in the body. And the reason for these starter inquiries is that bringing up the very first layer of unconscious resistance opens up and brings into my awareness all the unconscious programming, trauma, and emotions that hide within the pain and contraction. Right? So that itself opens the gate to feel and see all that hidden emotions and programming through those emotions which are hiding within that pain and contraction. But first, I have to resist it to open it. I have to resist it consciously to open it up, right? So, yeah, and that's why KI is so useful. Yeah. So, trusting that initial layer of resistance or repression takes me really deep. And that, as I said, that's why KI is such a unique and cutting edge method and approach. Because with KI, I can't miss what I really just overlooked with all other modalities, the deeper and different layers of unconscious resistance toward what I'm experiencing and feeling in my body, as well as what's emotionally and energetically buried in the body. So it doesn't matter that I want to love myself to death in order to heal if I have no clue what it is that has to be embraced in my loving presence, because it's unconscious. The resistance and what I'm resisting is unconscious. It's just an automatic behavior, just living from resistance and just resisting our experience. Even what I'm feeling, or even the resistance towards what I'm feeling and experiencing, is unconscious. So, and that's why KI reduces and over time eliminates the possibility of bypassing, aka not wanting to feel. And even the urge to do so is kind of disappears over time and practicing KI, aka somatic processing, reversing emotional self-repression. So I don't know how to explain, but resistance is the collective normal. Before KI and before I learned somatic processing, it was present in my words, in the way I was thinking, and basically every move I made. Like, it was the normal way of being, if you know what I mean. Like, so yeah, I just lived my life in this unconscious resistance, if you know what I mean. But now speaking and moving are much more like freer and kind of more authentic, and expressing myself and even expressing my repression are equally authentic and conscious. And yeah, what do I mean expressing my repression? For example, I can say when I don't know what to I can say when I don't know what to say that I don't know what to say, for example. And that's okay. It's coming from repression that I don't know what to say because there is some unconscious um, trauma with mom, that I'm just standing there with her stuck, unable to express my needs and vulnerability. And so it stayed in the mind, partly still unconscious. And so I'm standing there with someone in my life, with a friend or a colleague, and then I just don't know what to say. But instead of wanting to change the experience or myself, that I should know and trying to look good and someone who knows everything, I can just say like I'm a bit frozen and I don't know what to say at the moment. So if you know what I mean, that's what expressing the repression itself means to me. So yeah, that's what I wanted to talk about today. This unconscious resistance towards the physical felt sense, and especially the pain and contraction in the body, because it itself can open up all that if it's made really conscious, very skillfully, openly, and compassionately, like with openness, I mean like being curious about the resistance and the pain and contraction, because resistance towards it, if while you are making it conscious with somatic processing and inquiry, it becomes curiosity towards the felt sense, towards the pain and contraction. So it itself, that's why it up um, opens the gate into, or the door into, whatever is there in the pain and contraction. But maybe I share my own process a little bit, so maybe you understand it better a little bit through my example, because the last few days I've been working with strong pains and contractions in my body, which are basically symptoms of a kickback after deeper shifts in with repression work. Shift means I made something conscious, I processed it, and then I experienced more for a longer period of time. I experienced more freedom, openness, integration, just feeling more integrated within myself and in my expression. And yeah, and so um, that was causing the strong pain and contraction in the body. This um, kickback after deeper shifts, as well as the other reason was unconscious repression programs were there on hurt, vulnerability, and fear. This is like this package of repressed vulnerability itself represses the deeper expression of anger and power also. That can also dysregulate my system. But anyway, so that was coming up. That was behind, and that was causing the pain and contraction in the body. And the kickback was somewhat similar to Ina's experience, what she shared 2 or 3 days ago. And so the unconscious trauma and repression that was coming up for me through the kickback were related to my mom. And it was about my inability to express myself, my vulnerability, hurt, and fear. I couldn't express it to her. So it was coming from my childhood. Yeah, and the fear was like, yeah, um, about her behavior towards me and disconnection from me and her rejection of me, like the vulnerability and the fear around that, and me just not being able to express it. I just couldn't convey how painful it was for me, that stuckness with her, that I really needed her, but in the same time, I was afraid of her. Like, yeah, along with the general fear of her behavior and like unpredictable behavior that I was afraid of. Yeah, it's hard to have needs with someone whose behavior is unpredictable, right? So of course, as a small child, I was just stuck and afraid, and I couldn't express my vulnerability. So the strong energetic double bind in my system that created the contractions and pain in the body, making me unable to access hurt and fear, consisted of first, I have to fog out and gaslight myself. In other words, with the more childlike mind, I have to believe it's okay that she hurts me or abuses me. It's okay that she disconnects from me and doesn't want me. It's just completely okay. I have to believe that it's completely okay and normal, or I have to believe that it's not even happening. Yeah, like she being abusive towards me and disconnecting from me and just not liking me, or loving me. I had to believe like it's not even there that she loves me. So that's another belief also. Like I have to believe it's not okay. The other belief, I have to believe it's not okay that she doesn't love me and want me. I have to believe it's not okay. I know it sounds strange. Or I have to believe she should want and love me and shouldn't hurt me or shouldn't hurt me. And so these were the beliefs that were coming up for me, that were blocking the expression of vulnerability and fear, and that was causing the strong contraction and pain in the body, the symptoms in the body. And I know that it can sound strange for many of you that these are just like these are only beliefs, but they are, because they all differ from the reality of what happened, if you know what I mean. And if in the mind something differs from reality, I call it a belief. Whenever it disagrees with what's happening or what happened, it tries to believe something else in order to change it. And it's like an unconscious mechanism in the mind. That's why it creates beliefs, because it wants to change what's happening. So I don't have to feel all that emotions that I'm unable to feel, show, and express. So yeah, I guess that's how my mind tries to neutralize the experience to survive. I mean, that's how it happened when I was a child. Yeah, so but anyway, that's what I wanted to share. The unconscious resistance towards pain and contraction, and what can be behind that. In my case, that what was causing the pain and contraction on the surface in the physical body, unable to access hurt, vulnerability, and being unable to express it because of these unconscious beliefs in the mind that was making me fogging out. Yeah, and so when I started inquiring, I started with the pain and contraction. That was my way into um, that programming in the body mind. Of course, I can't describe how to do it because it's a public post and it takes time to learn KI, but I keep sharing my experience because I'm just so enthusiastic about it, because I can open process and let go of things that I I could never, I didn't even know that it was there in my experience. I was only aware of the surface symptoms. You can imagine, like the bodily pain and contraction, and I was just trying to treat it or something, to deal with it. And now, with the emotional repression inquiries and being able to bring it into my awareness and process it, the experience can change, without going to that root trauma where the repression started, like with mom as a very young child. That's why I shared the example. Without being able to go there, it's just really not possible to deal or treat the surface symptoms in the long term. That's my experience. And if you know me, you know my background, you know how many um, diseases I had on mental and physical level. So, yeah, I guess that's why I share it, that I can shift things that I wasn't able to even see or access before KI. So, yeah, I hope you enjoyed that. I like talking about resistance. Maybe if you are new and just listening to it, maybe like, oh, this girl is crazy. What kind of resistance? And enjoying talking about resistance and with trauma with mom, about trauma with mom. But yeah, it's opening me up, and I feel more and more liberated, despite of all the challenges that comes with this work, with this inner work. I keep opening and liberating myself through this work. So yeah, thank you for listening.